The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, based on where you're located in the region. And thanks so much for joining today's webcast around AP automation presented by Altec. My name is Ali Ortiz, and I am the ISV Program Manager here at Sage. Just a few logistical items before we get started. The presentation will be around 40 minutes, so we will have time for questions at the end. So please enter those in the Q&A panel on your screen, and we will make sure to go through those. The webcast will also be recorded, so we can distribute the recording and a PDF of the slides next week. With that said, I will go ahead and pass it over to Tony Chokuanka from Altec to kick off the presentation.
Great. Thanks, Ali. And thanks again, everyone, for joining today. My name's Tony Chokuanka. I'm a sales director with Altec, as Ali said. And today we're going to talk a little bit about making the case for AP automation. And again, we know that you hear about AP automation quite a bit. So today we're really going to give you kind of a high level idea of what a solution like DocLink can do for you, but also give you just some background as far as, what is some of the return of investment, what are some of the costs that maybe some of you might be able to take advantage of. So why do we always start in accounts payable? Because really that's where the most critical business issues tend to lie. I've been doing this for quite some time, and when I visit with our business partners to different customer sites, it's typically pretty easy to find out where the AP desk is because it has all the banker boxes around and piles of files and whatnot, looking to find the different documents that they need to have their normal routine happen. So again, as the slide says, too many invoices, not enough time. And really what we're trying to do is help accommodate that, give you the tools to be able to automate that process so everything can be found easily and everything can be processed a lot smoother. So with that said, one of the things that we tend to see in the industry is what makes your job most difficult. I'm kind of curious, those of you that are joining today's webcast, what makes your job most difficult? Today we have a poll, and if you wouldn't mind participating, we'd appreciate it. And select from one of the following. If you have manual data entry, just being able to have to always type stuff in. I'm making errors when I do that. I spend too much time with the approval delays. I'm routing it to different people, waiting for them to hopefully get to their desk where they'd be able to answer it, open an email, and approve it and move it forward. Maybe it's C, where I have too many invoice exceptions, things that are causing me to then take it to other areas that need to have some work done. The difficulty in the two or maybe even three-way matching, there's a lot of data entry. So, and then finally, being able to find your documents quickly and easily. Is that something that makes your job difficult? So if you wouldn't mind taking a second to select one of those, I think we opened up the polls, and if you could possibly give me some feedback as to how they're coming along with the selections.
Yes, definitely. So I am going to close the poll out right now. And it looks like the most, with 41% was manual data entry. Second was 23% with invoice approval delays. The third was 17% with finding documents quickly. And the last was 13% difficult 2- and 3-way matching.
Great, thanks, Ali. And again, you guys, I think also the nice thing about hearing those percentages for you is that you're not alone. Not everyone is in one area and you're in the other. It's pretty much spread out. And one of the things that we like to do is kind of share with you that experience that some of our customers have had. And one of them is a company called Thornburg Investment Management. They had a growth spurt, right? So they're year after year just growing as an organization, and by virtue of that, they have too many documents that they have to find, to research, to process. And to maintain that, they were always having to add additional staff and storage to keep up with the workload. So having a document management solution allowed them to have all those records now available virtually. They could now go and find those documents on their PDF, or excuse me, on their phone or their iPad or any type of browser. Any type of documents like packing slips can now be found easily. I don't have to go look and figure out which filing cabinet or which building all of the packing slips are in. And the approval times were really reduced by a significant number. And kind of the highlight there is that the initial investment, it took about 9 months for that return of investment. They were able to save about $40,000 a year just by not having to add an additional staff. And just that annual storage for Thornburg saved them about $7,500. So you can start to see that having a solution really starts to add up, and we'll give you some more examples of that as we go through. So why, again, another reason why accounts payable is a great way to start. Here's something from independent source called Ardent Partners, and it really focuses in on what is the cost and time that's associated with AP. And we look at the traditional process where the cost to process a single invoice is just over $15. And now when you process it with AP automation, that cost turns into $2.87. Time to process a single invoice, where traditionally with manual processes, on the average, according to Ardent Partners, it takes about 17 days. And with AP automation, that gets reduced all the way to just under 4 days. So if you start to think about your organization and how your numbers could change and could be affected, it's probably going to be a little bit different. But again, the thought that I want you to hold on to is that all of this helps you going forward. It makes your team more efficient with a process like document management or DocLink, I should say, in your AP area. Traditionally, this is what we see, right? Where companies have an invoice, they have to open the mail, they have to find the purchase order, they need to route those documents with the invoice and the purchase order. Maybe there's even a matching that has to happen there. They then have to code the document, route it for approval. Maybe that's sending it to someone's other location, or perhaps it's sending an email. Got to make sure it's within the budget. Then I have to, once everything's been approved, I have to enter it into the Sage ERP screen, push it into the GL, write a check, file the invoice, so it could then be researched. So when we look at a solution like DocLink, what we're trying to do is take all of the manual components out of there. We're trying to now automate this process. So now I could leverage Sage to help me code the document ahead of time, route it for approval, and I'll show you a couple ways that you can do that. And from there, import it into the GL with all of that coding already done, so I don't have to do any double entry. Again, really simplifying and automating this process can really help speed up your processes, your workflows. So some of the benefits, the cost savings that we talked a little bit about, think about offsite storage, square footage, paper, these are all different costs that people start to go, yes, I can save a lot of money there. When it comes to time, being able to now search for documents easily, the filing that I don't have to do or don't have to have somebody do. I know in some organizations, it's really all in that AP person. They get the phone call, can you go find an invoice for this? And that person has to get up out of their desk and go to the filing cabinet, find it and bring it back. And then right then another phone rings and they have to go search for something else. And oh, in the meantime, they have to do other things. So again, the time savings that it helps. At a high level, we also want to think about those strategic initiatives that can benefit an organization. Being able to grow without staff, as I mentioned before, being able to not have to add additional people with benefits and all of that, by automating the process allows the existing staff to be that much more efficient, giving them the tools that can help them. Now that I have everything automated, now I can take advantage of some of those early pay discounts, because before I was having to pay potentially some late fees. Audits can now be easier because everything's in one place. I can easily find documents, put them on the thumb drive, and have an audit trail, being able to give that maybe to an auditor that says, I needed a document from a certain date range, and these are the document types that I need. Giving them that capabilities has helped our customers tremendously in having much shorter audit times and being able to save money in that regard. Compliance and disaster preparedness, these are all different strategic initiatives that DocLink can help with. So, Tony, that sounds great. How do I actually do this? So what I wanted to do is just kind of give you a look. Now, just as a reminder, today we're looking at really a presentation, giving you a high level of what a solution like DocLink can do for you. We're not really going to dive into a demo. If you do find this of interest and want to actually see a demonstration how it can affect your organization, please feel free to reach out to us, your business partner, any different way to be able to get a more detailed presentation. But today, what I want you to think about is what DocLink does. And DocLink, if we look at this middle section here, it's really a repository that sits outside of your organization, sits on either on-prem, it could sit in the cloud, but basically it's a place where once I capture documents, either by scanning them, leveraging OCR technology, which stands for optical character recognition, maybe I'm getting an email, barcodes, it doesn't really matter. We just want to get that information into that repository that now we can start to do some things with. We can now route them through any workflow that you can configure within your organization. We can automate that process. All of that's going to be integrating back and forth with your Sage ERP. In other words, if I scan or an OCR document comes in, I'm doing a scan, an invoice comes in, it has a PO number, I'm already going to know what that PO information is from Sage and be able to index that document with that information. So again, it's a two-way synchronization that happens between the ERP and DocLink. Now I can retrieve documents in all kinds of ways, as I mentioned before. Either on a browser, I could be on vacation in Sardinia and be able to go on a browser and find out what else I need. If I wanted to use my mobile app, I could do that as well. Some of our customers like to push documents out. In other words, on their AR department, let's say they want to get quicker payment, they want to automate the process so that they can send out an invoice that could give some supporting documents like the packing slip and the purchase order attached with it as well. DocLink can accommodate that for you, as well as the other process that we talked about. Also, think about within your Sage ERP screen. One of the nice things about the integration is I can be on, let's say, a voucher entry screen. And if I wanted to pull up the associated documents that are on that particular screen, I just click on a View Document button, and now I can open up DocLink and pull up those images that are specific to that particular screen. Again, these are all great things to see in a demo, and we'd love to be able to share that with you when you're ready. So let's give an example, just kind of a start to beginning on the AP process. So when invoices come in, and how does that work with DocLink? So first of all, an invoice comes in, we can leverage OCR to be able to find the different image areas on this image that can then be captured and processed. So here in this situation, maybe I'm pulling up the invoice number and all of the associated data for that particular customer. I can then leverage automation for invoice approval. So now I can route that to the appropriate person for approval. At that point, it could be imported into the ERP once the approval's been made. If I wanted to make a payment and capture that payment and keep a copy of that check stub, I no longer have to do that. As soon as that check gets sent out, we're going to take an image of it and store it within DocLink. Now, I have everything archived into DocLink, if someone calls up and says, hey, I didn't know if I got paid on this invoice, when I pull up that invoice number, that check will be associated with it, so I could either A, visually let them know that it's been paid, or B, if I wanted to send them a copy of those two, I could do that as well. Again, just a real simple invoice to pay process with DocLink. When I mentioned how easy is it for an approval, this is a great way to show the different ways that I could do that. Let's say I'm an approver and I just want to be notified at the end of each day, do I have any documents that I have to approve? Well, in their email, but basically what we'll do is we can automate this and say, okay, approver, we just have approver at my Altec, but again, it would have maybe the CFO. In this situation, the CFO. You have 5 documents that you need to take a look at. None are overdue, but if you could take a look at those, open up DocLink and find that, that would be great. That works wonderful. You could also set up rules here that's saying, you know what, that's great to have that set up, but you know what, after 48 hours, I want to send out another message to that CFO. Hey, we're still waiting for these documents. And then I can even do a third one saying, okay, 48 hours after that, I'm going to actually notify that person's supervisor to make sure these things get processed quickly. So again, one of the ways you can approve a document. Now, some of you have approvers that like to just handle things quickly on the go. Here's an email that they can receive that has the specific invoice that needs to be approved. Here it is. It's here in the, attachment. And from here, I can simply click on approve or deny to move it to the next step in the workflow. If your email is set up so that it can go to your phone, your iPhone or Droid or whatever it might be, I could also do it from my phone by clicking on approve and deny, or if I want to put any information there as well. So again, we want to give you guys as many ways to approve documents that are necessary. Some of our customers, half of them want to have it in this manner. The other want to just be notified. The ones that want to be notified, once they do open up DocLink and they said, okay, yes, I open up my workflow, I have an AP processing, here are the invoices that I need to be approved, I can click on any of them, and when I do, here shows up that particular one that I can now approve or deny right here. Again, just a real simple way to talk about how the approval process can work for you and really make that a much more automated, streamlined process that people can take advantage of. The other thing we want to do by virtue of having this AP process is really minimize data entry. We want to automate, we want to take, I don't know about you, but every time I seem to type in an email, I seem to have, my fingers go over different numbers and I seem to always make mistakes. But we want to automate that capture and index process to reduce those type of mistakes and really try to reduce that manual reconciliation and matching, being able to automate that process for you, leveraging the existing ERP data and making sure that that human error gets taken out of it. The nice thing is if I make a change in the ERP, that information is going to flow over to DocLink. So the latest information, the vendor information, is all going to be in the DocLink repository for you. So again, having a tool like DocLink really minimizes that data entry. Tony, that's great, but at any one point in time, I might want to find different documents. How can I find out where potential bottlenecks are? How can I help with financial reporting? And DocLink allows you to do that. At any point in time with our workflow supervisor, you can monitor where a workflow statuses are. So even though we set up all these great rules and whatnot, maybe there's someone went on vacation for a period of time that needs to be done. We can take a look at what those where those documents are. If someone's going to go on vacation, we can actually set them up to say, hey, let's reroute that to somebody else while I'm gone for these 2 weeks, and they can approve those documents. manage audit trails. Anyone that's looked at a document, approved it, made a note, even if they just viewed it for a period of time, that's all going to be audited and giving you that ability to see what that trail has, who has touched that particular document throughout the life of that invoice, PO, whatever document it might be. Invoice, improved financial reporting, being able to find a date range of invoices and being able to manipulate those so you can then push it into an Excel spreadsheet so you can leverage that information. Streamlining intercompany accounting. Again, these are all different ways that DocLink can help improve in those regards. Achieving ROI in 6 to 12 months. Again, the next step here is I wanted you guys to get an idea of how DocLink can help in that regards. With this return of investment, we wanted to look at how time is money. Again, how much time is spent each day searching for these lost documents, copying, matching, filing. And again, I just look at each of the offices that I've been to, and I see if I see a wall of filing cabinets, I know there's some time that gets spent finding those documents. If I go to another site that has offsite storage, maybe they're using Iron Mountain. These are all different things. So when you think about it and you start putting some calculations together, how much time is spent versus the number of employees, average salary examples, you know, it starts to add up. So here's a few that I want you to kind of think about. And again, we understand that everyone is a little bit different. Different parts of the country are going to charge different things. So we try to balance that out just to give you an idea. And again, some of you are shaking your head, that's not right, or some of you might go, that's about right. But think about an AP clerk. If they're getting paid $18 an hour for 8 hours, we're going to be able to save them 8 hours saved a week. They're saving about $22,464 annually. And if you go down each of the departments, what we've tried to do is how much time are they actually saving? The vice president obviously is probably not looking up documents quite as much as the AP clerk. So that person is going to have a lower amount of time. Cost of an audit, we look at a flat fee for a 1-week audit and that 25% of time savings. And it's funny because I have a customer that contacted me, or we were talking about something, and he said, Tony, you should lead with the auditing savings, because that saved me about 50 hours of my on my audit bill that I didn't need the person out here. So again, you start to think about different ways that DocLink can help save. And if we add all those up, you're talking about an annual savings in this regard of $41,000. So again, customer evidence, that's why I shared with you I wanted to kind of have along the way, is talking a little bit about how does that mean. We have a customer that needed to get rid of filing. They stored over 2 million documents. They've been using DocLink for about 10 years, but really the main thing is that they have a problem storing documents, and now they can access those documents a lot easier, quicker, and not spending so much time doing that. So again, by eliminating filing, this organization has successfully used DocLink for over 10 years. Now let's go to something as simple as storing paper, and how expensive is that? How much is spent in offsite storage, paper filing supplies, and whatnot. So you start to add those components up, and here's another return of investment that a lot of our customers have seen. And we look at paper supplies, and again, these might vary depending on which part of the country you're in, but real simple. Paper supplies, copy machine, filing cabinets, time to reproduce, offsite storage. These are all different things that we took into consideration when we made up this particular component. And we're talking about an annual savings of $11,690. A paper storage company that was paying a lot of money to Iron Mountain to be able to store these documents, they saved $85,000 a year that they no longer had to pay, because now everything was in DocLink and everything was in one place. So those of you that have those offsite storage issues, this is something that can help. And again, feel free to reach out to us, reach out to your business partner, ask us some questions. we'd be happy to cater this so you can see exactly how DocLink can work for you. How much money is spent on routing documents? And again, some of you that have multiple locations can probably relate to this. How much time is wasted while these documents are in transit? So spending money on courier fees. We look at the same thing, manually doing this based on historical and what we see. AP clerks, department clerks are now involved. Not a lot, but vice president a little bit. But the routing between offices in this situation, just simple as 3 offices. Or think about those of you that maybe have, different franchises or different locations that have multiple stores throughout your area or throughout the country. These are all areas where DocLink can help. Think about it, early pay discounts. We are able to, because everything is automated, everything goes a lot smoother, we can now take advantage of some of this. So here we go with our total annual savings from just having everything in a workflow automation. We're talking about $37,876. Now I mentioned different locations. Here's a restaurant chain that had 46 locations throughout the country, and they were spending so much money on shipping and courier charges that all went away because DocLink was able to do that in an automated fashion. Now when I route things, it's all done electronically. It could be handled with on emails, it could be phones, whatever it might be. All of a sudden, this particular company, because of having DocLink available to them, really reduced that amount and saved them about $150,000 in shipping and courier charges. Some of you, this may be applicable, some of you not. But again, the concept today is just to give you all different tools to be able to say, you know what, it makes more sense to move to an automated solution than it doesn't. Making better use of your resources. How can I make my team more efficient? I have a customer in Texas that called me and said, "Hey Tony, we saw DocLink, and I just got approval to hire another person. My boss said I can go ahead and hire another person." So I thought, okay, well, probably not going to go with DocLink. Well, they came back and they said, well, I told them that, you know what, instead of hiring that additional person, actually I could add DocLink on for cheaper than that and be able to have everything automated and make my existing team that much more efficient and allow us to do other things. So if you look at it in that regards, all of a sudden DocLink starts to make a lot more sense. Whatever you're typically paying your AP clerk, there's that particular range, but that's a complete savings. You're not paying for their benefits, you're not paying for obviously their salary and vacations and whatnot. Just giving you something much more concrete that can automate your AP process. Also give you other benefits that we'll talk about in a second without adding additional staff. So if I look at a healthcare company that wanted to grow with that staff, I know I used my example, but here's one that they had 2 AP clerks that they didn't need to rehire. They were able to actually, if I remember right, this particular one, to reallocate one of their clerks to be able to do something that was more productive for the company. So again, keep all of these things in mind when you start to look at, is a solution like DocLink worth it? So if we add up all those savings, which is always a fun exercise to do, the cost of access and sharing, the average storage savings, cost of manual workflow. Actually, we didn't even add the additional staff, but there's an annual savings of about $90,000. So when you start looking at what a solution like DocLink can do and what that cost would be, it starts to make sense. And if you're curious about what your cost would be for your solution, again, feel free to reach out to your business partner, reach out to us. We'd be happy to kind of have a discussion with you and work out what that would look like for you. Now, some of the differentiators with DocLink is it's more than just an AP automation tool. It's an enterprise-wide solution. We always start in AP because, as I mentioned at the beginning, that's kind of where things get started, right? That's where the biggest pain points are. But know that DocLink can help in other areas. It could help storing contracts. It could help with sales order processing. It could help with legal or HR documents that need to be stored in one place. So we have a lot of our customers that start out in AP but wind up using it throughout their organization. Another differentiator is that we leverage OCR technology as one of our modules that can help automate that to and three-way matching. So we're not, again, doing those type of things on a manual basis. We always talk about the workflow process and how, you know, Tony, ours is a little bit different. Ours isn't a typical cutting out of the box solution. And we understand that. So we try to give you tools that allow you to be able to configure the workflow in whatever ways that you need. And it may not just be an AP, it could be an approval for a purchase requisition or an expense report, whatever it might be. DocLink is a configurable. We try to allow you to be able to give you the tools and train you to do that, but we also can help in that regard. Powerful search and retrieval engine. Again, having that ability to now find documents from whatever location, whatever device you might need. These smart forms that I kind of talk about. DocLink allows you, if you think about any form that you and your organization fill out in paper, I don't know, some of you might use Excel spreadsheets for a check request or expense reports. DocLink can leverage the smart form technology to help you build that form in a electronic form. So now everything can be routed. I use, for example, when I was in Texas last week or a couple weeks ago, and I was able to, as I go through, take pictures of my receipts and push them right through a process. I don't have to fill out paperwork and turn it in. It's all done electronically. When I get back, I'm able to have that completely submitted, approved, and sent back to me for payment. Another differentiator is we want to make sure that all of our customers are taken care of. Some of you have, depending on your cloud initiative, might want to have that zero footprint where DocLink would need to be in the cloud. Absolutely, we have a solution. DocLink Cloud can handle that for you. Some of you still want to have things on-prem and they want to be able to have it on their server. DocLink can help you with that as well. So it doesn't really matter. We're not going to force you to be on perpetual or cloud or subscription. It all depends on what your organization does. And let's say down the road you start out perpetual and you want to move to cloud, DocLink can handle that for you as well. So I mentioned a little bit when I was talking about it enterprise-wide, but think about these other areas, and when we look at further opportunities within the organization. Once you have DocLink, you have it there. You don't have to keep buying. There's not a module for HR. There's not a module for field services. DocLink in its core has that ability to store documents, and if I wanted to pull up all HR documents associated to a specific employee by social security number, I can pull up, type in that information, that social security number, and I can find that person's application, their reviews, any letters that they have. Again, real easy way for DocLink to work enterprise-wide, not just an AP area. Same thing with AR, which I talked a little bit about, being able to access those supplemental documents. And again, these are things that we would love to work with you and your business partner to push forward with. But again, knowing what the full capabilities of DocLink is something that is going to be extremely helpful for you. So here's our next polling question. This is a tough one. So if you wouldn't mind either selecting one or two, and it's really, how can we help you? I'd like to schedule a call to see if DocLink would work for me, or B, I'm interested in scheduling a DocLink demo. So if you wouldn't mind selecting one of those two, and depending on if you want to be contacted, I know there's a way that we can do that for you. I know Allie will probably talk a little bit about the follow-up here, but Allie, if you would mind letting us know what people have selected here, that'd be great.
So it looks like the majority are interested in setting up a demo. Votes are still coming in, but it's around 65% for the demo and 35% for a call.
Very, very nice. Thanks for your input there. Really, that is, again, what I wanted to talk about at a high level. And if you're ready to look at going digital, here's our number, here's our contact information. Again, we work closely with your business partner. We work closely with Sage. So however you need to get a hold of us, we will be there to help you. Allie, I wanted to check in with you if anyone had questions along the way.
Yes.
I wanted to use these last few minutes to open that up to you, Allie, to see if I can answer questions.
Yeah, sounds great. So the first question, I think it was around when you were presenting on document entry. Someone asked, "What about duplicate invoices?"
Yes, DocLink will identify if it's a duplicate, and you'll be notified as to what do you want to do with this. But absolutely, duplicate entries is part of the core offering.
Thank you. All right, the next question is, can multiple invoices be sent in a PDF file that is one email?
Yes, absolutely. So, and when we talk to you on an individual basis and show you in a demo, we'll show you how that works. But absolutely, if a PDF has multiple invoices on there, we can take those, and depending on how many invoices are in there, it will separate them for you, so we can then push them to whatever next step in the workflow might be.
The next question is, how does DocLink handle AP payments? Specifically, would I still need to issue paper checks, or does DocLink issue payment like bill.com, for example?
So DocLink will, we take everything to the payment area. We've found that a majority of our customers still would like to make that payment themselves. In other words, we're going to push that to ready to be paid, or whatever these are ready to be done with. That could be a specific workflow. Once those are paid, DocLink will take an image of if they paid ACH, they made a check payment, whatever it might be, and then associate it with that particular invoice. But as far as making that actual payment for you, we still have the customer do that.
All right. The next question is, does DocLink partner with a third-party payment provider, and if so, who?
Yeah, and again, we could take that off. It's kind of what I just was describing. We can work with payment providers. Just let us know that that's your question when you reach out to us, and we'll make sure that we set up that conversation.
Right, thank you. A few more here. Is there an app someone can use instead of going on a computer or logging in their emails through a phone?
I'm sorry, ask that one again, Ellie.
Is there an app that someone can use instead of going on the computer?
Yes, absolutely. If you iOS, you can simply go to the App Store and download DocLink, and then getting all your requirements there. That's part of the mobile offering. It could be on an iPad or our web client. You can go off if you're at a business computer in, as I mentioned, Sardinia. You can do that as well. So there's a variety of ways to get the information. You don't have to be on premise to do that.
All right. In regards to PO and invoice matching, can we have multiple invoices for one PO paid in installments?
Absolutely. And again, when we actually do a demo for you, whoever asked that question, feel free. We'll actually do a discovery call first. We'll make sure we cover that for you and show you how that works. We'll probably give you, or if you could give us a couple of your examples, and we could have that shown during the demonstration.
Are DocLink documents viewable within Sage directly?
So when you're in Sage directly, depending on the particular screen, we'll have a View Document button. As I mentioned before, if you're on a voucher entry screen, when I click on View Documents, it's going to pull up all of the associated documents to that particular screen. In other words, it's opening up DocLink, so I'm going to be able to see them side by side. I don't have to go into DocLink and search for it. I can be inside Sage, click on it, and it automatically pulls it up associated to that particular screen.
Awesome. We still have a few more questions coming in. How does it handle an invoice that doesn't match the PO?
So that would be an exception. And when as we go through this process, you're right. You know, whoever asked that, you're right. It's not always 100% perfect. So instead of our AP person going through each and every one of them, now they're only have to deal with exceptions. So at that point, I could then say, hey, this one doesn't match up to a purchase order. Then I can go ahead and do that. Go into the repository, find that particular PO, and have that as an exception to work on. So it's not going to push it through unless it has all of the criteria that you're asked for. It'll just go into that exception queue.
Right. If you are on the Sage Cloud version, does the integration work with DocLink?
Yes.
Awesome. And then let's see. How does payment work with DocLink?
How does payment?
Yeah.
I think maybe that's a repeat of the other questions as far as making payments for you. We can, if I didn't answer that correctly, but as far as if you're looking at the cost of DocLink, you know, again, we'll work with you on an individual basis. Everything's on the Sage price card. We'll take a look at what that would be for you and the associated hours and implementation costs with that. I'm not sure which that person was asking about, but the payment side, I think I already answered.
Okay, great.
And if I didn't, reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to have a discussion with you.
Yeah, great. I'll be sending you all these questions. They said payment of invoices. How does payment of invoices work? Is that the?
Yeah, so as far as payment of invoices, so again, as we go through the whole process, everything gets pushed out, approved, I imported into Sage. It's then ready to be, the checks to be cut. At that point, you could either A, go through your own process, which is to make those payments. We'll make a copy of everything, or B, push it out to a payment of those invoices. And again, whatever, if you have a third service, we'd be happy to talk with you about to help process that. But again, we take that on a kind of individual basis.
Great. And that looks like all the questions that we have.
Well, Allie, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to talk to everyone today. And everyone, thanks for taking time out of your day to listen to us. We're excited to be able to follow up with you on this, and Allie and her team will get all the information to you. But feel free to reach out to DocLink and tell them that Tony sent you, because I'd be happy to help out and answer anything else that you didn't have answered today.
All right. Thanks everyone so much for joining. And Tony, thank you so much for walking us through the presentation. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.